Just over a week ago, the dual Black Gold and White Flare sets released in Japan, giving us a sneak Pikachu of what our new meta could look like when the cards come to Pokemon TCG Live on July 17th. Since it's still early days of the new format, you know what that means. Handsome YouTubers making wild predictions based on a small sample size. As you can see from this early tier list compiled by Pokekabook, the best decks are still the best decks. Dragapult, Raging Bolt, Gholdengo, Grimmsnarl, Gardevoir, I'm Typhlosioning my feet right now, and Charizard still hold the top spots. A little further down, Diplin has made a comeback thanks to Brave Bangle. The only new addition from Black Gold and White Flare is Zekrom EX, which may propel Miraidon EX to be playable again. Or it could be a lie, just like how Japanese players made it seem like Grimmsnarl EX wasn't very good when it first came out. Before I dive into all the fun stuff, like my second ex-wife said the morning of our wedding, let's just get this over with. The most boring, yet one of the most impactful cards from Black Gold and White Flare is the reprint of Air Balloon. While Rescue Board does have the very specific clause of giving free retreat if the Pokemon it's attached to has 30 or less hit points remaining, 99.9% of the time it's a retreat cost reduction of 1. Air Balloon ups it to 2, making it doubly better. While you won't be throwing Latias EX in the garbage, Air Balloon does allow you to contemplate cutting it from certain basic heavy decks. Ho-Oh EX immediately benefits from the balloon, same with the upcoming Kyurem and Zekrom EX. Evolutions like Grimmsnarl and Gardevoir and Eelektrik also don't have to worry nearly as much about being trapped in the active. Additionally, Gholdengo now has a retreat card, and the Baby Revavroom's playability goes up, assuming you have a deck with energy in it. Since Air Balloon is less a card you build a deck around and more a way of life, there's not really any interesting lists I can show you. If your deck has Pokemon with a 2 retreat cost, you're inflating the balloon. The deck I saw take the biggest advantage of Air Balloon, though, is Gholdengo, with every list in Japan running 2 copies. Not only that, 2 copies of Genesect EX are being included as well. Its ability simply allows you to grab 2 Metal Evolution Pokemon from deck. That's insane, meaning Gholdengo only needs a fast start, then Genesect can find your evolutions on turn 2. Plus, it opens up the possibility of playing either a 1-1 or 2-2 line of Scizor as a great backup attacker. While Genesect seemingly pairs well with any Metal Evolution deck, so far Gholdengo is the only place it's found a home. The top Archaludon lists are avoiding it, likely due to the fact that Ultra Ball helps activate the ability. Metang probably doesn't want to risk having a 2-prizer on the field, and if Steven's Metagross was actually good, well, that'd be the perfect place for it. Then we have Brave Bangle. Attach it to a non-EX Pokemon, now its attacks deal 30 extra damage to EX Pokemon. The biggest beneficiaries of this are Ethan's Typhlosion, Festivali, Diplin, and Baby Roaring Moon. I wish I could do some deeper analysis on the card, but you basically just remove Defiance Band from Typhlosion, put in Brave Bangle, and you're done. The list is still evolving, but 1 copy of Hilda doesn't seem like the dumbest thing ever. If you're under item lock, she allows you to grab an evolution Pokemon like Quilava and a Fire Energy. The entire Typhlosion line attacks for a single Fire Energy, and all of them one-shot Badoo, so it can be a great card to have in your list. Meanwhile, this is mostly what Festivali Diplin will look like. While you may have seen the tier list earlier and noticed that Diplin is surprisingly high up, you have to remember a few things. For starters, our top 3 of Dragapult, Gardevoir, and Grimmsnarl aren't great for the apple. But in Japan, Raging Bolt and Charizard see more play, which are great matchups. Secondly, Japan has Psyduck, we don't, meaning Dusclops and Dusknoir are major problems for Thwackey Diplin. Still, being able to deal 130 damage twice to EXs with a Grass-type single prizer is awesome. Just be aware that you probably want to include at least 1 Vitality Band because stupid Monkey Dory has 110 hit points. And of course, the Bangle makes Baby Roaring Moon stronger. It's still going to struggle due to the lack of Dark Patch, but if you can loop Sawda's Vitality, it's a much bigger threat. As for what appears to be the best new deck from the sets, we have Zekrom EX. When Miraidon lost Raikou and Raichu to rotation, it could no longer take big one-hit KOs. Undeterred, players created Joltik Box, which focused on Pikachu EX and Iron Hands EX plus Crispin. While fairly successful, it has its flaws. Namely, if you KO a fully loaded Iron Hands, it's tough for them to get it up again. But with Black Gold and White Flare, Lightning decks are saved. For 2 Lightning and a colorless, Zekrom does 130 damage. Okay, that sucks. But for each prize card your opponent's taken, the damage increases by 50. Using my handy cheat sheet, we can see that Zekrom can do as much as 380 damage, which will be perfect for all those Mega Evolutions starting in September. Ditching Joltik, Miraidon goes back to its roots and runs 4 copies of Electric Generator. But what do you do if someone gets knocked out or Badoo item locks you? That's where the new, old Eelektrik comes in. An ability we've seen in the past on Pokemon like Malamar, Eelektrik allows you to accelerate 1 Lightning Energy from the discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. This means you can keep powering up attackers throughout the entire game. Since this is an early preview, I'll only be showcasing this version, which appears to be the most consistent. There's 2 Zekrom, 2 Miraidon, 2 Iron Hands, 2 Eelektrik, and even a 1/1 Magneton, who accelerates 3 energy into play and increases Zekrom's attack power in the process. While Magneton can only attach to lightning types, Eelektrik will give it up to anybody who wants it. So that means Fezandipiti and Mew are potential backup attackers, giving you more flexibility. A few other cards I've seen pop up in Zekrom are 1 copy of the new Galvantula. This guy does 50 damage for each lightning energy attached to it, which you then discard. So it can be a way to one-shot big things, you just have to overload it. Plus, you can run the old Joltik with a couple of grass energy in the deck for more early acceleration. A card very few of you probably knew existed, Thundurus protects all of your bench Pokemon from damage if it's in the active. The attack is destructive though, punching itself for 90. But it does 140 damage for 2 lightning, making it a great way to one-shot things like Pidgeot and Squawkabilly. Speaking of Eelektrik, I've got some potentially bad news for people who rushed out to buy the old art. According to the ruling in Japan, even though the cards are the exact same, you can't use your old Eelektrik from Noble Victories in Standard. This is yet to be confirmed for the rest of the world, but it seems like a safe bet that they won't treat Black Bolt Eelektrik as a reprint and will instead consider it a brand new card. Even though we all know it isn't. Pretty much the exact same card as Zekrom, except a fire type, Reshiram EX has seen some success in Japan so far. Unfortunately for all the Emboar believers out there, its partners have been Ho-Oh EX with Armarouge. Alternatively, you could include a single copy of Reshiram in a Charizard deck. This gives you a backup attacker who can deal 380 damage when they've taken 5 prizes, up from the 330 Charizard would deal. While that's not necessarily necessary right now, Charizard might be forced to run Reshiram when those Mega Evolutions arrive in September. Reshiram being added to Ho-Oh Armarouge is the perfect excuse to talk about Prism Energy, which replaces Luminous Energy. If you were to attach 2 Luminous Energy to someone, or a Luminous and any other special energy, the Luminous Energy loses its luminosity and becomes a colorless energy. With Prism Energy, it doesn't have that negative clause. The only downside to Prism Energy is that it only gets the added effect when it's attached to a basic. So as long as you don't put it on Armarouge, every attacker in the deck can use it. If you watch my recent video on Ho-Oh Armarouge, the new list is pretty much the same, albeit with 1 Reshiram and Prism Energy instead of Luminous Energy. Thanks to the versatility of Prism Energy, you can go with 4 copies and not worry about having more than 1 attached to the same Pokemon. As I learned in that video though, Ho-Oh Armarouge is prone to bricking despite how strong it seems on paper. Whatever the case, this archetype gets better with Black Bolt and White Flare. Now for the bad news. Despite my hopes to the contrary, Jellicent EX has been performing well in Japan. Badoo, after taking steroids and growing hair in weird places, Jellicent only needs to be in the active to stop your opponent from playing items and tools. The first few successful lists in Japan were exactly what you'd expect, Jellicent with Gardevoir. When Jellicent was originally announced, this is the combo everyone said was perfect. But other players, myself included, didn't see the point of adding Jellicent to Gardevoir. Sure, Jellicent slows them down, but it doesn't take knockouts like Screamtail or Drifloon. And you need to put 4 energy on the jellyfish to do 160 damage. Don't get me wrong, the pairing of Jellicent with Gardevoir is strong. And high-level players like myself will probably find it to be quite useful, as you can extend games even longer using Monkey Dory to spread even more damage around. I just don't think Jellicent Gardevoir is an improvement over the current Gardevoir deck we already have that's crushing it in Standard. As you can see from the list, it's Gardevoir with Jellicent. Surprisingly, Drifloon was removed entirely from the first few winning lists to make room. There's also just 1 countercatcher, so using Monkey Dory to KO any Shaman to open the way for Screamtail will be key. Otherwise, do 80 or 160 damage each turn with Jellicent, preventing them from playing items or tools in the process. And if you're facing Raging Bolt or Dragapult, you can one-shot them thanks to Clefairy since Jellicent's a Psychic type. Overall, the Gardevoir version of Jellicent is seeing sustained success in Japan right now, and that should worry everybody who's disappointed about the Gardevoir Finals mirror at NAIC. But if you want to make like a shift tree and branch out, Jellicent can be paired with Frostlass Monkey Dory. While it's definitely not as strong as the Grimmsnarl build, it's certainly more annoying. And if annoying your opponent so much that they rage quit isn't the point of the Pokemon trading card game, I don't know what is. If that's not enough to get your creative juices leaking out of every orifice, use Jellicent with Dusknoir. Since we don't have Psyduck yet, you can Curse Blast your opponent while item and tool locking them, then attack once or twice with Jellicent to take whatever prize cards are left. For the Ultimate Evil Edition, there's Jellicent with Alakazam. Leave Jellicent up front, blocking their items and tools, then attack with Alakazam from the bench, who does 120 damage for 2 Psychic. There's a lot of moving parts here, and it's definitely inferior to the Gardevoir version, but it's as we all feared. Jellicent is good, and the Pokemon Company hates us. Moving along, I've been saying this for a long time. If Pokemon were real, the amount of people getting their heads crushed by Zarina's thick thighs each year would be higher than Sharpedo attacks. Also, you have to let the meta evolve. When Grimmsnarl EX first came out in Japan, it did nothing. Then the meta evolved, it was paired with Frostlass, and now you lose every game to this thing because it's too damn strong. So when I say there's a lot of decks from Black Bolt and White Flare that haven't done anything yet, you need to be patient. Players in Japan don't have access to Pokemon TCG Live, which probably explains why they're happy. It also means they have to get their toes on physical products in order to play shop tournaments, which isn't always easy or affordable. But that's not the reason why Meloetta EX hasn't done much yet. The reason is because it sucks. Yeah, I said it. In Meloetta's defense, at least this past weekend, a couple of players have been using it for the Turn 1 evolution. But if you look at the Dragapult list, not only do you have to go first, which is likely in this day and age, you have to remove Badoo, run 4 Carmine and 3 Town Store, then hope you open Meloetta in the active, otherwise you have to get Latios EX into play to retreat into Meloetta, then you also need TM Evolution. And if all that works, you're stuck with multiple 2-prize liabilities to maybe get a Turn 2 Dragapult, which you could have done with Rare Candy anyways. Sorry, I kind of blacked out there for a second. But my point remains, Meloetta is fun to think about, just impractical in reality. Then there's Kyurem. While Zekrom and Reshiram were given pure power attacks, Kyurem is forced to spread damage like its cheeks. For 2 water and a colorless, Kyurem does 130 base damage, and that never changes. But for each prize card your opponent's taken, it spreads 10 damage to each of their bench Pokemon. That seems really good at first, until you realize it's doing nothing until they take a prize. And until they take 3 prizes, you're almost better off running Uxie. Not to mention Shaman protecting bench single prizers and Terra's having a built-in bench barrier. This is the only list in Japan that's done anything so far. It's basically just Frostlass, Munkidori, Badoo, but you jam in Water Energy, 2 Kyurem, Crispin, and Countergain to hopefully get a late-game attack. Ultimately, in my humbly expert opinion as a Prestige 2 PTCGL player, Kyurem isn't good at either thing it tries to do. 130 isn't enough pressure on their active, while only spreading 50 for 3 energy if they have 1 prize left is far too inconsistent. For the final notable EX Pokemon that's underperformed in Japan, we have Serperior. There's a couple of things that make it special. First off, the ability boosts the attack of all your Pokemon by 20, and it stacks. Lilligant, Kingambit, and Skeledirge all have similar abilities, except I'd argue they're all better. The attack, meanwhile, only does 150 damage for 4 energy, though that does get boosted by 20 damage for each Serperior you have in play. You can attach a Grass Energy plus an Ignition to fulfill the energy requirement, with the added bonus of grabbing any 3 cards from deck. That's awesome until they INO you. This is the lone Serperior list that won anything in Japan. Let's just say it doesn't fill me with confidence, and there's a reason why Serperior hasn't done anything since this one win. While Baxcalibur is fighting for relevancy in Japan, it appears players have cold feet when it comes to Emboar. I think the closest thing to Chen Pao for fire types is Torkoal, except that's a coin flip and requires a lot of energy attached directly to it. Luckily, you can absolutely make a deck featuring Emboar, utilizing various attackers with fire or colorless energy in their costs. But at least for now, it appears Emboar is being treated as worse than Baxcalibur. A card that I think has a bright future is Zoroark. Sure, it's not off to a good start, but a potential 150 damage for a single Darkness Energy on a single prizer is enough to worry them. Throw in Ignition Energy to copy their active, now you have a real threat. What you probably could have guessed is the pairing of Zoroark with Frostlass Munkidori. What you probably didn't guess is that the one successful list played Reversal Energy instead of Ignition Energy. Personally, I don't think a full 4/4 Zoroark is warranted here. I'd rather have more Frostlass than Zoroark and more supporters, because I had a game with Porygon Z, which has 20 supporters and 4 Team Rocket's Transceiver in the list, and never saw a single supporter. People in Japan are far too risky, as this one has just 7 draw supporters. A few other decks that haven't done anything yet include Whimsicott EX, Seismitoad, Reuniclus, and Tortuga. Given how powerful Tortuga can be under the right circumstances, I expect it to do something in the future. Same with Reuniclus. Yes, it's technically a worse Typhlosion, but get enough evolutions in play, along with Area 0, and you can deal 400 damage for a single energy. Since this was a very early preview, I won't be putting lists in the description. Once we get closer to launch on July 17th, though, I'll do my typical suite of videos, including best new decks, best road decks, best cards, and a buyer's guide. Overall, as expected, Black Bolt and White Flare hasn't made too much of an impact on Standard in Japan yet. A few cards like Air Balloon and Brave Bangle are definite improvements, and Zekrom might return Miraidon without Joltik to relevancy, but overall the best decks right now will continue to be the best decks in July, August, and September. According to PokeBeach, our Mega Evolution set will arrive on September 25th in Pokemon TCG Live. That's when we'll see Mega Lucario EX, Mega Gardevoir EX, the Orange Data Raid, and plenty of other new cards. For now, let me know in the comments which decks you're excited to try next month.